This is going to be a two-part talk on the line that comes from the Epistle to the Romans, part of verse 7-8, written by Paul the Apostle. And it says, sin taking opportunity by the commandment, by the Mosaic law. And I want to say, Western people aren't under the law. The law was given for the Jews of that time. And if you understand the New Testament, when the Lord Jesus Christ died on the cross, that was the finish of any approach towards God for righteousness. And I believe if you read the Old Testament properly as well, you'll realize that by all counts of prophecy, fulfillment, the Lord Jesus Christ is the Messiah. So this is the danger of staying under the law for righteousness with God. You can use the law for social morality and integrity and things like that. But if you're trying to approach God under the law, it's not going to end well for you. I can tell you that. And it's one of those verses where Paul basically says the rule didn't create the problem. It revealed it. I want to say that again. The rules that God gave to Moses on the Mount of Sinai didn't create the problem. It revealed it. Then it was the heart that received it that messed it up. So here's the idea in plain English. The commandment says do not covet before the commandment. You might feel desire and not even label it. After the commandment, suddenly you're hyper aware of desire. And somehow it multiplies. Have you ever noticed that? Paul's describing a psychological and spiritual boomerang effect. The law draws a boundary. The human heart notices the boundary. And then sin inside says, oh really? Watch this. And breaks the boundary. So it's the classic forbidden fruit reflex from the book of Genesis. The tree was fine until it was off limits. And then it became fascinating. So he's not blaming the commandment just as much as you can't blame the tree. He actually says the law is holy. The problem is sin inside us, inherent sin, seizing the moment that we try and put boundaries on it as we approach God. The Greek word he uses implies a kind of military base of operations. Sin sets up camp inside the human condition and weaponizes the very thing meant to restrain it, which is deeply inconvenient for anyone who thinks morality alone fixes the human heart. And so that undoes most of religion in itself, because morality alone does not fix the human heart. So the verse is not saying the law is bad, it's saying the law exposes and even provokes what's already wrong, which is sin from within. It's uncomfortable theology, isn't it? It suggests we don't just break rules accidentally. There's something inside us that resents being told what's right. So you see this is in toddlers, you see it in adults. You'll probably see it or have seen it in yourself or someone that you know. If you're honest, for 5 minutes you'll just think about sin and yourself. But Paul's larger argument in Romans 7 is that the law reveals sin but cannot cure it. The diagnosis is not the same as healing. Brilliant, slightly depressing and psychologically sharp, which is why people have been arguing about it for 2,000 years instead of ignoring it. Human nature is a complicated beast, and the commandment just turns on the light. So now we're going to look at sin taking opportunity by the commandment in an outline which I've created. And the context of the statement, number one, is written within Paul's argument about law and sin. And the context of the statement, number two, the commandment referenced, you shall not covet. Number three, the law is declared holy, just and good. And number four, the problem is not the commandment. It is sin operating through it in us. Then number two, the nature of the commandment. Well, the nature of the commandment reveals moral boundaries. It defines what sin actually is. It brings internal motives, coveting, desire, into focus. And it moves sin from ignorance to conscious transgression. Then we look at the tragedy of sin. Taking opportunity implies seizing on occasion or taking a foothold in us by the commandment, giving sin something to be sinful about. And sin uses awareness to stimulate rebellion. The more aware you are of trying to be good, when it comes to God at least and yourself, it's just going to stimulate rebellion. And number three, sin will take opportunity by prohibition, because prohibition intenses sin's desire to manifest in you. And then number four, sin takes opportunity when the forbidden becomes attractive. That's what it does. It changes your mind, something that repulses you and that you're against. Sin will make it become attractive precisely because it is forbidden. Then, number four, the psychological dimension. The psychological dimension can be one, human resistance to authority. Two, increased fixation when boundaries are drawn. Three, internal conflict between conscience and desire. And four, the law exposes the divided self. And then number five, the theological implications of all this. Point number one. Law diagnoses what the problem is, which is sin, by bringing it out. But it can't cure it. It only makes it worse. Another theological implication is moral instruction alone cannot transform the heart. Another implication, theological, is sin is active, strategic, and internally rooted. And another theological implication is external regulation cannot produce internal righteousness. So, in this part of the outline, part 6, I have decided to look at a historical echo. And an historical echo, one, would be parallel with the forbidden fruit in the book of Genesis, the pattern of desire awakened by prohibition, and the recurring human struggle across history. And this is a conclusion. Sin, taking opportunity by the commandment, exposes a hard truth. The issue is not merely ignorance of right and wrong, but a deeper inner corruption that reacts against righteousness itself. The commandment shines light on sin, but light does not remove the strain, it reveals it. Paul's point is sobering. The law shows us how we are, but it cannot make us what we ought to be. Moral clarity is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Transformation requires more than instruction. It requires renewal at the level of the heart. And that is the tension Romans 7 leaves us sitting in. Uncomfortably honest about the human condition, yet pointing beyond mere law towards something greater. And that something greater is found in the Lord Jesus Christ.